video breakdown. Today I want to talk to you, post Super Bowl, obviously. I want to talk to you about the Bucs. It's a fitting video to make today, given that they just won the Super Bowl. Biggest game of the season. So first, I want to and give you some takeaways that I had from the big game. A lot of general stuff, really. So first of all, that the Chiefs didn't score a single touch. What's most people were talking about. High-powered offense like that, couldn't even get one touchdown. A lot of drops, a lot of miscues on the team, but overall, just a big bet in Vegas. If you bet on that there would be no touchdown scored by the Chiefs. So they averaged 3.5 touchdowns per game in the regular season. Couldn't even get one on the biggest stage. So it's pretty big news. How about the fact that Fournette led the game in touches? He had 20 touches. Led everybody in carries and touches. It's pretty amazing that someone who was cut at the beginning of the season ends up coming back like that and leading the entire game. Really amazing testament to what he's done to resurrect his career. How about the fact that Gronk came out of retirement, put up 6 for 67 and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl? Not totally unexpected. We could have probably seen it coming based on his connection with Brady and everything that they've been through in the past, but still another big bet if you bet on Gronk to have 2 touchdowns. Kind of defied the odds. One other thing I want to talk about was I want to talk about Tom Brady in general. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, actually, there's a quote that I put in my article. I want to read it to you. It's from Fred Durst. He said, "Everybody loves an underdog, and then they take an underdog and make him a hero, and then they hate him. But as long as they can knock you back down, it seems like you're an underdog again." I think that I break it down a lot more in my article, so go ahead and read that. But I think that directly applies to Brady. Obviously, the quote wasn't written about him, but he was a 6th-round draft pick, came out of nowhere. He came out of Michigan, but nobody thought he was going to, be anything. I was taking him in the 6th round. Big-time American underdog story, and he comes out and he just becomes the best quarterback of all time. So I don't really understand a lot of the hate. I know a lot of it is the cheating allegations and in my article, like the on-field whining where he's gotten a few rules changed. I don't know. I guess I can see that side of it. But in general, from what he has come from, what he's become, he's the best of all time. And I've accepted it. I wasn't necessarily rooting for him, but kind of indifferent if they won another one. And I think it's good to see somebody win that many, especially for the humble beginning that he had to his career. So anyway, I digress off of that. We're going to talk about some contract speculation today for the Bucs, like I mentioned. So in all, the Bucs have 5 rosterable free agents and dynasty owner. They're Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, LaShawn McCoy, and Chris Godwin. All pretty big names, to be honest, all 5 of them. They're all 5 going to find a team, obviously, being big names, unless Gronk might be the only one who might want to retire. I guess McCoy could as well, but all of them signing or re-signing offseason. So first, let's talk about Gronk. Came out of retirement for the 2020 season. We all know that. He and a 7th-round pick were traded to the Bucs for a New England 2020 4th round. So a lot of people thought that was, it really was. The Patriots were getting a good deal on that. They got a 4th for a 7th, and Gronk, who probably was never going to play again for them. So, why not take that deal? So Gronk retained his original contract, $9 million per year. He's an unrestricted free agent this year. I think he only has 2 options. It's going to be re-sign with the Bucs or retire. He doesn't want to go to another team. He's going to stay with Brady. That'll be his only option. I could see him retiring, but I think it's likely they're probably just going to want to try to run it back this next year and see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a little bit less than he had this year. I think anything between the $8-10 million range is probably going to be his going value. But like I said, he might take less depending on what the Bucs' condition is. So just monitor that. I expect him to be back in 2021. We'll see how it plays out, and I'll keep you appraised to all the news, obviously, when it happens. Next up, 2 receivers that I want to talk about, Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. These are going to be 2 of the bigger free agent, especially wide receiver acquisitions over the next 2-3 months, especially when free agency begins. So the Bucs signed AB in October 2020 to a single-year contract, $1.6 million. Steal of a contract for his talent level. We all know that. But it was more than that. It was a place to show that he was really committed to coming back in the NFL and playing, at an elite level. So what I'm going to do is I want to show some of his stats here. Let me do a picture-in-picture. And we're going to look at some of his stats in my article. So in 8 games, he 75 receptions, 45 receptions, 483 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's good for 117.2 fantasy points. So if we look, we can compare this 16-game pace that he would have had to other wide receivers that are close to him. And some pretty big names: Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks is becoming a bigger name, Woods, Amari Cooper, obviously with that big contract. So what it shows is, these salary figures are all over the place, but just kind of look at what type of player what kind of fantasy production he's going to give if he gave, an entire year for the Bucs. And so we look at that. Nothing really notable aside from how good of a season he actually had for 8 months playing. But then if we look at the wide receivers with the top catch percentage in 2020, and I actually kind of gave a trivia question in the article, so see if you can name them. Who are the top 3 wide receivers in catch percentage in 2020? I think they're going to surprise you, but I'll reveal them to you right now. Curtis Samuel, Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams. Adams isn't a surprise. He had a whole lot of targets, but his catch percentage was still top 3. Curtis Samuel, he got a lot of short passes, but even the ones that were deep, he still connected on the majority of them, almost an 80% catch percentage. And Chris Godwin right in the middle there at 77. So it really goes to show how maybe not underrated is the right word, but how good of a season he had and how valuable of a pass catcher he is, reliable hands, everything like that. So if we keep looking, I remember specifically a live stream that Tim, Steve, and I did back last year where we speculated on what Godwin was going to make. I think I said probably between 14 and 16 at that time. He's going to make more than that. He's probably going to make north of 6 and makes north of 20. Their cap situation is actually pretty favorable. I think they're in the bottom third of the league right now. But even then, to bring back 2 top receivers like that, if they want to bring back Fournette as well, they've got some linemen they need to pay. It's going to be a tough proposition. I'm not that good to see how they're going to be able to re-sign both AB and Godwin right now, but I think they're going to do everything they can to try, whether that means restructuring some contracts. Brady's contract could be restructured, get rid of some of that money. So we'll see. No matter where Godwin falls, if you own him, you need to be making plans to free up your cap space. That's the bottom line. He's going to be worth more than he was last year, and it's going to be quite a bit more. So let's look at some contract breakdown, and it actually ends up being a speculation as well because we're going to be talking about Leonard Fournette. So he signed a single-year contract worth $2 million with the Bucs. We all know that. The signing occurred after he was released by the Jags earlier in the season. His outlook was, as up in the air as any players could have been, obviously. We didn't know where he was going to go. This is before he signed with the Bucs. He had injury history. He was getting a little bit older as a running back, so we didn't really know what to expect. And he was just cut from a team that couldn't afford to lose running back depth, or seemingly couldn't afford to lose running back depth. So Fournette finished 2020 season with 97 rushes, 367 yards, 6 touchdowns, very impressive around the goal line. He finishes RB 36 as a backup, so it's pretty impressive. Similar to what we looked at with Antonio Brown, let's see where he would fall if he played a full 16-game season. And I'm going to compare you to a few right here. So we got Fournette, Edmonds, Gurley, and a mystery running back. I'll reveal him later. So this is right around where Fournette would have finished had he played all 16 games and kept the same production. And Gurley, we know how Gurley fell off at the end of the year, but Chase Edmonds had a pretty reliable year, 176 fantasy points. So all 4 of these players are right around the 180 to 190 fantasy for the season. Very comparable. Right in line, like I said. It'd put him right around RB 25 if we'd have played all 16 games. That would have been, a steal for the contract, as I already mentioned. So then let's talk about the mystery running back. This is some of the article, but who do you think that is? 85 rushes, so low rushes, low rushing yards, low touchdowns. But look at those receptions: 80 receptions, 589 receiving yards, and actually, this player was second in running back receptions, and he led all running backs in targets. So even we know it's not Kamara. You know, this running back doesn't have the rushing yards. He doesn't really have anything rushing yards, touchdowns. This running back led all running backs in targets. So who do you think that is? I'll reveal the answer at the end of the article, and then I'll probably tell you at the end of this video as well. But it is pretty baffling when you find out. So anyway, let's keep talking. What have we learned about Fournette? We learned that he was productive in 2020 to earn himself a 2021 contract, but how much is it going to be worth, and where is he going to fall? So SpotTrack currently has his calculated market value at 4 years, a little over $32 million. That puts him right around 8.1. If that's going to be his going rate, I don't see the Bucs re-signing him, and that's for a couple of reasons. First, we already talked about his market value, and I think it's going to be too much for Tampa Bay to want to take on. Second, they have an above-average running back still in Ronald Jones. They have him for another year on a cheap deal, so they're going to obviously hang on to him. Third is the fact that it might sound ugly, but I think Keyshawn Vaughn, and if they decide to bring back LaShawn McCoy on a cheap deal, can give you comparable numbers to what Fournette did. Like I said, it doesn't sound great saying that. We didn't see much of Vaughn, and McCoy is getting much, much older, probably a lot older than you'd want your backup running back to be. But if you get some combination of both of them, I think you can get pretty comparable numbers, maybe 80% and 90% of what Fournette gave you this year. Also the fact that, or at least the speculation that I project Ronald Jones to take more on a lead, power, full-time back as opposed to splitting it as he did a lot of times with Fournette this year. So we'll see. We'll see if he's more the workhorse and goal line back or not. But that's what I'm here for, to get you guys ready for free agency. It's going to be coming. It's going to be coming quick. So we need to keep our eyes open. I'll be updating you with every free agent that we get coming through whenever somebody signs. And really just keeping my ear to the ground, seeing what we hear about all these contracts that are going to be coming through. And I wanted to tell you that running back, the Mr. Running Back, was J.D. McKissick. So unbelievable that he was second in receptions for running backs and led all running backs in targets. Just a testament to how many targets he was getting, especially towards the second half of the year. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Be sure to check out my article that pairs with this. I'll help you out, give you a little more in-depth info than what the video did. But I appreciate it. You all be safe and take care.